Hey folks, Lemonade here, and today I'm going to talk to you about keyboards and act like I know what I'm talking about. Probably mess up somewhere, we're going to have some fun, but from having zero interest in keyboards to owning this electrocapacitive board, here is my experience with the Niz Atom 66, right after this. Okay, so let's knock out some of the basic specs for this board, but also I'll include a little bit of info on their other boards, and I'm going to throw that up right here. Now, in terms of pricing, the one I have here retails for $175 on their site before shipping, but I did get this from EpoMaker, and they had a deal which included shipping for a total of about $140 out the door. So I would recommend looking at both websites to see what the latest offers are. So why this keyboard over something like a Wooting, Razer, or a custom keyboard? On the gamer end of things, aesthetically, they never really impressed me and usually sound pretty clacky. And like I said at the start, I've never been a keyboard guy, nor do I kind of want to go down that crazy rabbit hole of building them, especially for this channel. But I did envy the thocky sound so many enthusiasts talk about in this hobby. Now, to preface, I am coming from this Cooler Master SK620. It's another 60% board, and while it has served me well, I really hated the sound of it. It's very tinny and harsh around the stabilizer keys and the spacebar. And as I watched more YouTube videos on keyboards, I was getting tempted to take the dive into the hobby, but I ignored the urge until I started getting recommended videos for this company. Some big reviewers who absolutely love these boards, and some even choosing to main them over the best mechanical keyboards. And after I heard the sound of this, I was sold. I mean, just take a listen between these two real quick. Cooler Master. Niz Atom 66. I mean, it's just night and day how much quieter it is. The Niz sounds so soft, thocky, pillowy, and that even translates to the typing experience. As silly as it may sound, it does really make typing so much more fun than a regular mechanical keyboard. It's odd at first, but you get to love it really quickly. Anyway, I digress. Essentially, I just wanted an endgame keyboard right away. I didn't want to tinker with lubing switches, doing tape mods, adding foam or polyfill, gasket mount versus not, lubing stabilizers, figuring out which one of the hundreds of switches to pick, what keycap set, etc, etc. And knowing me, I'd be in another rabbit hole of money that, while part of me geeks out about, I just do not need at this moment. In terms of the box, it's a simple brown box with the Niz branding on the outside, but inside we have some nice surprises. First off, it comes wrapped in bubble wrap with this plastic cover over, and even a plastic tray inside the bubble wrap itself, and that's just great to see them putting all this extra effort to protecting it. Inside we have a pamphlet in all Chinese, so not much help for me. A bag of springs. Yeah, we'll get into these in a little bit. And we also have this cute little accessory kits. So inside the kit itself, we have this nice keycap puller, a set of keycaps for the Mac layout. Here we should have a full-size backspace key, but I swapped it out into the board. Out of the box, the board does come with this small backspace and a tilde key, which I just cannot get used to, so it was nice of them to include the full-size keycap. Okay, and over here we have some cool stuff that I'm not 100% sure on. First off, there is this switch, which is what are used in the board itself. And I'm not sure why it's here. Maybe it's just used for an example or a demo. The board is not hot swappable, so I'm not sure what you would do with this. Maybe you hang it on a keychain or a lanyard or something. Anyway, it does help me kind of demonstrate and show you how the switches are, which is a nice little touch. And we'll throw up a diagram a little bit later to kind of explain this mechanism. And over here, we have some extra parts for repairs. We have the stem plunger mechanism itself. And as you can see, these are MX keycap compatible. So that's a nice touch. And we have some small clips and odds and bobs in there. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure on these, and I'm not necessarily the tinkering type. So if you expect me to dig in here or open up the keyboard, that is not happening. I've never liked doing that kind of stuff with any of my electronics, but there are some great videos already on YouTube for this board that go over all that in depth. So who is Niz? Well, essentially, they're the Chinese competitor to the current leader in electrocapacitive switches named Topre. They hail from Japan, and you can find these Topre switches in boards from HHKB and Realforce. They are made in Japan and sold on the Fujitsu website. That's a name I haven't seen in some time in the US. Now, I haven't used those Topre boards, but my understanding is that these switches are very close to the Topres, if not a little bit more lighter and satisfying out of the box. Plus, the Niz keyboards are quite a bit more affordable in comparison to their equivalent counterparts. Anyway, this style of switch is very niche, so if you want to experiment with this like I did, these are the 3 brands that you'll have to choose from at the moment. Okay, so back on to the switches themselves, because this is the big differentiating factor versus mechanical keyboards, giving it that sound and feel profile. I'm going to put up this diagram here so you can kind of see how this works in a better view. The keycap depresses the plunger, which pushes against this rubber dome. The dome gives these switches the slight tactile nature like a mechanical board. As you push into the dome, the conic metal ring under that also pushes down, which is what actually makes the connection with the board to signal a key press. So it's almost like we take a traditional membrane keyboard, like those old ones you probably used in school, but we're mixing in a little mechanical love to it, and it works. It really makes for such a nice typing experience. The rubber domes are one big sheet, and you can swap this out if you wanted to have more or less resistance. Other than the 35 gram force that we have here, they offer 45 gram, 55 gram, 60, and 65 gram weight. If you purchase the board, you only have the option of 35 or 45 from their pre-builts, so you would need to purchase the other dome sheets separate if you wanted a heavier feel. Okay, so let's talk about that actuation force. Is 35 grams too light? I mean, most mechanical keyboards hover around 40-45 grams. And at first, it can feel that they are pretty light and will take you a little bit of time to kind of pick them up, but you will. As a gamer, the light actuation is really key to making quick strafes and triggering items and abilities more quickly. Now here comes the neat part, which were these springs. They add about 10 grams of extra force onto any of the switches, and since the stock configuration can bottom out pretty fast and the dome internal spring isn't as snappy as mechanicals, just throw these in. I found the trouble point for me personally was the WASD keys, where I needed to make more rapid presses to strafe, for example, in Overwatch. These springs add a nice little touch of snappiness to the key return. You get 50 in the bag, so there are plenty for any specific keys you would need. And you just put it right over the plunger and then put the keycap on top. They're incredibly easy to install. I think as a gamer, the 35 gram choice with a few 10 gram springs really is going to be the best option. But even for typing, since the bottom out is cushioned, it's still very relaxing to type on and non-fatiguing on the rest of the keys that you may not have the springs in. This all being said, hear me out, because Niz actually makes a gamer edition on some of their keyboards. Unfortunately, the Atom 66 and the 68 do not have this version available. You would need to go up to the Micro 82 or 87 sizes to grab a Gamer Edition. The Game Edition bumps the polling rate from 1000 Hz to 3000, and it allows for a tighter 5 to 6 millisecond response spread and a lower actuation point of 1.8 millimeters, where the lowest you can set this one is 2 millimeters. Now, do I feel bad in game with 1000 Hz and 2 millimeters of actuation? Definitely not, but I really have to say my true endgame would be the Atom 68 in a Game Edition if they ever make it. Notice how I didn't say the Atom 66, this board here? It's because there's a few weird things about it. And it's mainly because of this right here. Yeah, the spacebar. It functions perfectly fine, but it's actually smaller than a normal spacebar, which leads to kind of funkier keys elsewhere on the board, like for example, the right shift key here, and there being 4 keys on the left side here versus a traditional 3-key setup on the left side of the spacebar. And I pretty much can't find any replacements for this style of spacebar, so it does limit my customization of the keycaps. Last note I did want to touch on is the overall build. It's really a tank, especially even compared to my Cooler Master here. You can notice the 600 gram weight on this. There's no creaking or flexing on the board itself, and the keycaps and all of the plastic in general on this board feels very thick and dense. So we also have adjustable feet with 2 stages if needed, and a nice braided USB-C cable is included, and it's detachable. Heck yeah. We also have on the board 3 channels to route the cable around the board, which helps keep things a bit more clean, especially on my desk, because there's always an army of mice in the way on this side. Overall, this board is everything I wanted it to be. Will it change how you game like the Wooting does for folks? No, but for me, it strikes a fun balance of performance, typing feel, quiet sound, and uniqueness that you just can't find anywhere out of the box like this. And on that note, folks, all my socials are down below, along with any affiliate links and discount codes. If you had a good time with me today, likes and subs are always appreciated. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments, but until the next Fresh Squeeze video, stay thirsty, folks.